All right, folks, we've had a delay in our garden updates, but I wanted to start in the newest addition to the garden. This is my mushroom bins. Both of these ones with hay here are oyster mushrooms, and what I did is I had a buddy swoop through. We went to one of the mushroom farms here in our local area, and they have literally tonnage of spent blocks, and a lot of them will give you multiple flushes. And so what I did is I took all of those blocks and I just kind of chunked off all the best mycelium and spawn that I could find, and then I lasagna layered wood chips, hay, spawn, wood chips, hay, spawn, to create these oyster mushroom bins. And now this one here in the middle, that's just purely wood chips. It has a different variety of mushrooms in it that likes only wood chips. So we're going to see how that goes, folks. So as I kind of back out of here, you'll see the kind of environment that I've set this up in. It's under this giant plum tree that's sitting right up against a fence that gets the west sun. So as the sun comes up in the morning, there is very little light that comes through. And then for the rest of the day, it's really shaded underneath this plum tree here. This massive plum tree that really doesn't make very good plums at all. So in there is tucked away is my little mushroom hut, courtesy of nature. So I'll go in there, and then that wood bin will be kind of my indicator. When that wood bin gets about 2 to 3 inches dry on the surface, I will water those bins and just kind of hope I keep things going and get me some fruits. That middle bin there won't fire off until probably around the middle of November, depending on how our temperatures go. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the garden. Been a lot of improvements in the time. The dogs love eating this stump right here, this old maple tree. They love it. They're literally gonna be stump removers. Get at it, kids. All right, so I got a chili pepper in a pot. That was a gift. I'm not sure what it is, but it is a chili pepper. Over here is the rose garden. It's doing well. I'm getting some blooms. This older one in the back, I'm having issues keeping up on its nutrition. The newer growth is good because I've been feeding it, but you could see some of this other growth in here is kind of yellowed out and already died off, which we don't want that. So I'm going through, and I've fed her a couple times, and so she's coming back. Since I've been doing the root applications of the fish and the foliar of the fish, it seems to be turning around quite a bit. But it took kind of a beating this winter. The yellow rose is doing really good. I am getting pest pressure, aphid pressure. I've been using the Lost Coast plant therapy. And you could see some of the foliage is not super stoked about something. But the roses are coming out good. And that's something I like about being out here in this garden environment, is I have the room to fail. When it comes to my medicine and my cannabis garden, I don't really have a lot of room for failure. These plants are doing well, but they've been getting a lot of rain in these pots, and my drainage I may have needed to be a little more aggressive with my drainage. As you can see, though, they are doing well, so I'm hoping that everything with those are just going to kind of color up. I've fed them really well, so they've got plenty of nutrition. It's just a matter of it needs to stop raining so much. We are heading into some better weather. And speaking of raining a lot, so a lot of the moisture that gets on these beet leaves, that then the leaf touches another leaf, I start to get these little pockets of rot in here on my foliage. And so I have to come in here, and I'm constantly removing stuff that's got rot on it. I way overplanted these bins with beets. As a first timer, I was reluctant that all those little seeds were actually going to work. And they all worked really well. I was shocked at how many beets actually ended up coming up, and I should have came in here and killed a bunch of them and thinned things out and made reasonable space for everything. My training tells me I should know that, but that's not what happened. And I kind of want to zoom in over here. Did you see that little bird down there? I have a mother and father bird that have been, oh, there goes mom. They're building their nest for the second round. They started a nest, had a baby, it fell in the box. Me and mom, the mom bird, I put that little bin of bird seed there. We were knocking seed down. I was putting seed, and mom was knocking it down into the box until the bird was basically well enough to fly out of the box. And so now they're back. And they're at it again. So that's kind of cool. Stoked to see mom and pops are back. I'm going to swing around this other side to kind of show you this side of the garden, and then maybe we'll wrap back around the other way. But I got my sunflower here. This is a volunteer from last year. This one here is a volunteer from last year. I have some... this one I think is an English cucumber that's popping up. I got some more of the Thai basil in here with this garlic that's doing better. I've been feeding it a little more aggressively. Still waiting for all of my spinach to seed out so I can get me some spinach seeds. And this was my mullein plant. As you can see, it doesn't really exist anymore. And that's because Luca came over and he ate it and destroyed it. I was able to save a bunch of the mullein leaves, and I've dried them and I'm smoking them. I also had enough prior to him devastating them to make a whole half gallon of mullein tincture. So I at least got a bunch of medicine out of it before Luca got a hold of it. But then we got our winter squash here. This also is a volunteer from last year. I have to admit it's not maybe totally a volunteer because I was kind of spreading seed around just in random places all over, hoping that would happen. And I think that might actually be one that I put in the ground. This is my pollinator garden. I do have a little water station in here. Deep under in that foliage, you can't see it, is also another watering station for insects. And pollinators and folks who need water. And then in my pollinator garden, I do have some cabbage, and I wanted to show you this cabbage here. All this cabbage that's tucked in with all this companion planting is doing really beautiful. Looks pristine and gorgeous. Then as you move out to the edge, when you don't have the companion planting, and you're at the outer edges to the butterfly cabbage moth or cabbage butterfly or whatever the fuck those things are, you could see its devastation to the nation. I mean, they're just laid eggs on there and they're just going to town. So I treated these with Lost Coast plant therapy a couple days ago, but they're kind of like nature's cut. I think they're going to be my sacrificial cabbage. I hope it doesn't spread in, but as you can see, as soon as we start moving into these companion sections, all the foliage looks really nice and beautiful. So pretty stoked about that. I'm going to have these giant sunflowers shading everything out here shortly. Maybe not too badly because they're kind of sparse. But I also have this other cabbage I planted out here as a sacrificial lamb. And as you can see, it's also being decimated. I have a little pumpkin in here that I need to free from this cage. And I also have two more volunteer sunflowers. I planted some various pollinating flowers in that section there, and it's got a Luca gate on it. So does this one. So this is my bamboo. Sad story, folks. Apparently the life cycle of a bamboo, or most of the bamboo that's propagated, is 120 years. So every 120 years, it pollinates out these little male flowers, and then it creates all this seed. And so now my giant, beautiful, beautiful bamboo, and this is the clumper, not a runner, is going to die. So it goes through its cycle of, creating seed, and then it dies. So I got to harvest a shit ton of these seeds. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them, but I'll figure something out. And then I got to harvest all these canes. I want to get these canes out of here before they're unusable and rotten. And then the base of this thing is massive, and I'm not exactly sure what happens. I don't think it's like the old, no-till where you just plant bamboo right on top of it, or it might be just exactly that, where I can mow it down to the ground level, plant a bunch of this bamboo seed on it, and then see what rips. Down here we have a hydrangea. My son gave me this, and his wife. And it took off really well. It's done so good. I'm stoked. But I have been spraying it with the fish. My foliar feeding has been labs and fish, because that's pretty much all I have. I got my Brandywine tomatoes here, getting ready to start doing cool shit. They're also getting really wet. It needs to chill out, but look at my blackberries this year. This is the first year, if you've kind of followed my shit, this is the first year I've ever gotten flowering blackberries out of this nightmare of a blackberry bush that exists in my backyard. So for the first year, it's going to pay off. I'm going to get a ton, and these are like the Norwegian variety. They're not the same blackberries that you get in the store. These blackberries taste absolutely phenomenal, and the jelly and pies and all that stuff is going to be great. I've been practicing my canning. I did a round of green beans and some asparagus just to see how that went, and obviously I learned you should pickle asparagus, not can it. But yeah, tons of blackberries. Really stoked about that. Can't wait. Over here we have a volunteer chili pepper. I must have had seed of it somehow get over here. Not sure how I did that, but I got two of them. This is my Thai basil. I came and I topped all of it, so it's looking healthy and clean. It hasn't been really Thailand conditions around here, so it's not exactly explosive yet. These are my cucumbers. This one is a lemon cucumber, and this one is just a English cucumber. Strawberries are doing okay. I pinched off all the flowers and runners, and they've already shot back with a bunch of more flowers. I'm pretty sure I should kill those, but I didn't pay attention to my strawberry. I put the strains down, but I didn't pay attention to if they're like only gonna pop off in June or if they're going to be like ever bearing. So I got to go back and do some homework on that to know whether I should be cutting the flowers or not. So I don't want to cut them until I do that homework. My potatoes in the pots are looking good. Carrots are looking good. This pollinator station is a bit sad. I planted so many fucking flowers in here, and not too many of them survived. I have these two sunflowers here. That one just got beat down from the rain. Some yarrow, and I forgot what the name of this really nice purple thing is. I put some marble or some rocks in my bird bath so that the pollinators can kind of land on these rocks, and they can take a little bath or get a little drink. So it's a nice little way to make sure your bees are getting something to drink. Potato baskets are doing phenomenal. They look really good. I've got this one in a basket, and I've got these two here in a laundry basket. I've got my lemon over here. Lemon tree is still getting way too much water. I pulled it back hoping it would be under the eave of the house and keep it pretty dry even in rainy conditions, but it's still getting, in my opinion, way too much rain. So hopefully we get some warmer, drier weather and I don't get any fruit or any of those little blossom rots, because I need lemons. I really do. Strawberries, some of them are starting to flower a little bit. stoked about that. Luca loves the rain barrel. I'm still using as much rainwater on everything as I possibly can. The raspberries looking good. We got this orange calendula. This is good for stomach problems. If you've got some out of control diarrhea, make yourself a little tea of this and the shit will stop. We got some pear tree here. We got some raspberry bush. I came in the beginning of the season and I trellised this raspberry bush to keep all these from falling. I mean, I feel like I got to come in with another layer of straw because this thing is, I mean, you can't really tell, but it's pretty massive. I'm stoked. I got a lot of raspberries last year. I can't imagine this year's going to be great. And then a couple more potato baskets that are doing good. They're a little hungry. I would say I need to feed these again. There's a lot of potatoes in there. I don't know if I'm supposed to put that many. My green beans are finally climbing up the rope. I've got some vines starting to climb up now, so those are finally taking off. They really, if you look at some of the foliage, they got decimated by slugs when they first got put in. But they're all kicking it, taking off, and doing well, so I'll have some green beans. I got my onion here. The onion's doing well, I think. Looks healthy, looks good. This is all red onion, which is my favorite onion. Then I have my tomato row, which I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of support system because 5 out of these are a yellow and red. 6 out of these are a yellow and red cherry tomato variety. So they're going to want to go up and out, and the one in the middle is a brandy wine, and it's just going to want to bush out and go up. So I got to figure out some shiz. I think I'm going to just do some kind of support system, maybe a straw, because that's the only thing I know how to do as a cannabis grower. Then I got my pepper row, which I'm not sure is going to do very well because we had some really cold nights lately. Like a week ago, it was down to like in the 40s at night, and that was really bumming me out. So I think I put my chili peppers out way too early. These ones that have been under the dome are doing well. As you can see, they've got a bunch of mushrooms growing in with them, which that's cool. Soil's active, going. Then I got my sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are doing really good. They're kind of taking off, look beautiful. These are all for Luca. These are all going to be dog treats. I'm going to dehydrate these and maybe lather them with a little peanut butter or some bacon grease, something good. And those will be dog treats for Luca. I got a row of turnips here. This is a really shady kind of part of the garden. So I'm hoping to get in here, thin those out, not make the same mistake I did with my beets, and get some turnips here because they don't really require a tremendous amount of sun from what I understand. But that's the garden, folks. I'm having a good time. It's been good therapy for me. I stay busy, and that kind of helps me manage life. So I encourage you all to get out there. I'm in an urban space. I'm an urban farmer. Get out there and do some urban farming. You'll find it rewarding. And when you have failures, you learn and you grow as you grow. All right, everyone out there, growers love. All right. Well, I realized that I forgot to wrap around the other side, folks. So I have this volunteer white pumpkin here. And as you can see down here, the leaf is kind of mutated and crappy looking, and that's because the dogs keep peeing on it. So I'm not sure how that's going to roll out for that guy, but yeah, it's the pea leaf. And I put these cannabis plants here along the perimeter of this garden to keep the dogs from grazing on my carrot bins and my other projects. Their stomachs seem to prefer fresh cannabis. So if I keep a lot of these kind of foliaged plants around, they come along and they graze them very well. They get pretty chewed down, as you can see. I mean, they really go to town on them, but it keeps the dog's stomach healthy, and apparently they need it. And these plants came out, and I got to tell you, When I had them inside, they had this little bit of mag deficiency going on, but I've noticed since they've come outside, especially these over here, they've really greened up a lot. And I haven't fed them anything. Actually, all they've been getting is rain. And it's correcting, being outdoors is correcting the health of these plants. And there's a lot to be said for that. And a lot of the old timers would tell me that if you've got an indoor plant, it's kind of struggling and you want to save it, it's really important to you, you're in the right season, you can throw it outside and let it veg for a bit, take clones off it, treat those clones, those cuttings, treat the cuttings before you put them in a cloner, and then root them, treat them, quarantine them, and you can reintroduce them into your garden. So putting your plants outside sometimes can be a good way to kind of help them rebound from some of the indoor stresses. I've got this pot here. It's a fabric pot, and these fabric pots here get almost zero sunshine because of bamboo. So I'm going to just throw some oregano and these carnations in here that I sprouted this year. And I got to tell you, carnation growing is not easy. These things are fucking weird to grow. They get really like I don't know, they didn't just want to shoot right out of the ground like with a main stem. They started like running. And so I let it run about 2 or 3 inches, and then I buried the run and then kind of propped up what I feel like should be the plant now. So I'm hoping these come up and do something. Back here is my IMO station for collecting my indigenous microorganism, folks. And there's bamboo. Love this little... I used the shit out of this wagon. It was like a $30 wagon I got. And I just throw one of these Home Depot bins in here. And it's easier for me to drag it around than try to push a wheelbarrow because of the amputee situation. So I just drag this motherfucker full of shit all over the place. Then I got my onions here. These are my spring onions. They've sprung, but they don't get a ton of light, so they're moving a little slow. These pots get soaked and there's like not drainage. So yeah, it's tough managing these. And I think that's part of the problem too, why they're not as explosive. I'm hoping as we start getting into drier weather, they're going to take off. I have my rosemary project that I did. Basically, I found a rosemary bush I liked a lot, and I came and I took cuttings of it, and then I put it in a rooting hormone, and I just shoved it in wet soil. And they were struggling because I did it way too early, but as you can see, they have now started rooting. They've rooted, and they're now taking off, so I can kind of dig these up and make them their own. And I also have 2 little blueberry bushes that might survive. That was also a just kind of stick it in the rooting hormone and shove it in the ground trick, just to see what happened. I got these Denver carrot bin that's taken off. It's been liking the sun ever since we've been getting into some warmer, drier days. It's been shooting off. I don't water these carrot bins at all, just because I want them to go down deep to try to get water. So they get absolutely nothing. And I'll go ahead and swing around here to the herb garden. The herb garden is kind of like one of my favorite spaces. I use a lot of this. I mean, I made an infusion of oregano, thyme, and garlic oil to make that kind of focaccia bread oil you get at the Italian restaurant. Bro, it was spot on. It was absolutely delicious. And so I'm now obsessed with making that thyme, oregano, garlic oil, because I'm going to use that base oil to infuse the chili peppers that I'm growing this year to make some spicy chili oil. I'm really stoked. All these are doing good. This is some weird kind of golden crinkle is what it's called. To me, I don't know. I would look at this plant and say, holy shit, there's something wrong with this thing. But apparently that's the way it's supposed to look. Thyme I've cut, as you can see, I hacked this thing down and it's already coming back and bushing up. This whole section of thyme, this French thyme, went to flower on me. I don't know why the hell that happened. But then I've got over here some more oregano and some more rosemary and some sage. All of this sage, obviously, I think, you know, obviously is going to have to come out. It gets like a bush. But I'm keeping them in here for now, letting them grow. They're under the eaves, so they don't get much water. The only water they get is the water that I give them for the most part. I got another strawberry bin, and I've been strategizing the straw around these black bins to kind of protect them from the heat. So I'll come along in the morning and I'll hose down this straw, just spray it with a hose to try to keep these bins cooled down. I've got another thyme bin over here, and it's doing okay. A couple raspberry transplants, they're doing good. I've got my elephant garlic here. I had some potatoes that I bought for seed, and a couple of them were just kind of funky, and I let Luca play with them, and he buried one of them over here by this bin. And so now I have a potato, it looks like maybe even 2 potato plants growing out of the side of this bin. So thanks, Luca, I appreciate it, bro. These shallots in here, which I think they're shallots, I don't even know if what I planted. These might be beets too, not sure. When I planted these 2 bins, I forgot what I planted in there besides the elephant garlic. So yeah, I don't know what's in there. I think they're shallots though. And that's about it. Another little thyme garden here. I'm going to try to fill this bin full of thyme. I had a rose project that I was doing. I took some cutting from Fish's roses, and they were growing really well because I had the indoor nursery, but I had to convert the indoor nursery into a drying room. So out they went, and they didn't like it. Not at all. This one actually is doing relatively okay. It's obviously rooted and getting some new growth, so that one will probably survive. This one looks good and is doing well, but everybody else is not gonna make it. Not gonna make it. So that's part of that thing I was saying earlier about getting to fail. I did this successfully later in the season last year. So I started cloning roses last year in probably the end of July. So it was way too cold because, like I said, our temperatures got down at night into the 40s, and they just said, you know, fuck you. But this one here, if it does survive, and this one that is surviving, they should be pretty hardy, man. They came out and they survived, so those will be some good, strong specimens. All right, folks, this really is the end of it. I'll tell you a little bit about my barrel here. This is going to be my fish amino acid barrel. I'm going to drill a hole and get some epoxy in here with a tube that comes out into a bottle or a cup. And that's going to allow it to off gas because I got 20 pounds of brown sugar. And I'm going to go down to my fish market, and they've got 20 pounds of fish parts that you can buy. You just bring down your beer cooler and they fill it full of fish parts. So I'm going to go down there, get me fish. I'm going to layer this up, and now this will be all the fertilizer I'm going to need in that respect for the next growing season. The fish amino acid is probably going to take 6 months to happen, and I'm going to let it go probably at least 8 months or 9 months before I start using it next year. So it should be plenty ready. But I do need to get that project started, and I'll try to get some film footage of that. Getting ready to head out to the Dew Gross Cup. So it might be a minute before I get to it. But, all right, folks, this time we're signing off. Growers love.